Hi everyone, Scribbler here. A few weeks ago I set a Q&A on my Patreon for my patrons to ask me some random questions that I promised I would answer. So this video is me replying to a selection of those questions. I hope you enjoy my answers. It's been a long time since I've done a Q&A, so if I babble, well, there's a reason my podcast is called obabscribbler, so take of that what you will. Storm Shadow asks, why is Scribbler so snuggleable in this pic? Now, the pic that they're referring to, I'm going to put on screen now, is the one that was at the head of the Q&A. The reason that Scribbler Pone is so snuggleable in that pic is because it was drawn by Mammy DeLugo, and she's just a friggin' awesome artist who manages to make all ponies look just so squishy and bendy, and the cartoon physics are amazing in hers. But in this case, this was a Christmas gift that she gave me last year, so it's snuggleable because Scribbler Pone is all snugged up against the cold. Somewhat ironic, considering that for some reason I used that picture in July? At the point that Britain is going through a gigantic heat wave. Like, I'm recording this, I've just had to turn off my fans and close all my windows to record this podcast. I'm 1 minute into it and I am sweating like a pig. It's so hot. This is horrible. Oh my god. This is Britain. We're not meant to be hot. We don't have any ability to cope with this. Luadin Frostbringer asks, any chance he will finish the heroic tale of heroically heroic heroes? The series is what made me subscribe to your channel. At this stage, probably not, which is... It's not an answer I really wish I would... It's not an answer I want to give. Because Heroic Tale was my first big project, and it's the one that's closest to my heart. And to be honest, I planned all 6 episodes. So, unlike things like No Place Like Home, where the number of episodes wasn't really set, Heroic Tale was always going to be 6 episodes long, because at that point I was listening to a lot of BBC radio dramas, especially comedy series like Elven Quest and Cabin Pressure, which... If you haven't listened to either of those, they're both on YouTube. Go and listen to them because they are amazingly good. Now, I'd always wanted Heroic Tale to be 6 episodes long, and I'd planned all 6 episodes, especially down to what was going to happen, some of the dialogue. The reason that we stopped making them was that the voice of Bucket Mopsworthy, there were 2 main characters, Honey and Bucket, one played by me and one played by Pounce. And for those who are not aware, in 2014, Pounce, at the age of 26, suffered a pretty horrific stroke. And at the time, he didn't have any health insurance and was struck by tens of thousands of dollars of medical debt. That was my first encounter with the weird American medical system, because it genuinely hadn't even occurred to me until that point. I'd got to adulthood without it occurring to me that medical insurance is the thing that you have over there, that it's not an equivalent of the NHS. And it took me a while to wrap my brain around that, and because Pounce was going through so much shit at the time, I didn't want to recast. The role was really important to him, and he begged me not to recast. And so I didn't. I went on and did other things and I just put Heroic Tale on pause. And it was always meant to be a pause, not a cancellation. And in my head, it kind of still is on pause because, as I said, I've got all 6 episodes planned. I wish I could continue with them someday, but Pounce has long since moved on from Pony. If we could get someone who could do a reasonable impression of Pounce to take over as Bucket Mopsworthy, I would definitely think about resurrecting that show. Because it's been quite a few years now. I'm a much better writer now than I was when I first started that. And yeah, I'd like to see that one completed. More so than any other project on my channel, I would like to see that one completed. But I've kind of had to accept that it maybe won't be. Wow, that was a depressing answer. Agent Zero Fluffy asks, how do you feel about holiday specials, for example, Halloween, Valentine's Day and Christmas, etc.? I love them! It's one of the reasons I run things like Month of Lurv and Month of Macabre, and every year I try to do at least a one-off Christmas special. Over the course of the last few years, I have tried to do multi-chapters at Christmas time that fit within the month of December. I prefer doing it that way because I think that multi-chapter stories in December kind of have a bit more meat on their bones. But last year, I'm starting a new job, various different things going on in my social life. Things with Reverb were not great at the time, resulting in the breakup in January. It was a one-off last year, and it possibly wasn't my best work. Even so, I love holiday specials. I love the creepiness of Halloween. I love the fact that I get to do Junji Ito specials in Halloween. I love Valentine's Day, where I get to just indulge my shipper, my internal fangirl, shipgirl, I don't know. Starry Flame's got that title anyway. So yeah, I like holiday specials, if they're done well. I don't like random cash grabs. JRog1989 asks, what is your least favourite fanfic? Ooh, that's a toughie. My natural inclination is to say Sun Princess by, I think it's Skywriter, which it is, that in my soul hurts a bit because Skywriter is one of my absolute all-time favourite authors in any fandom. But Sun Princess is not a badly written story. But it's from the perspective of a dog who is dying. And after losing Suki, I absolutely can't deal with that. I can't. I can't. Anybody who's lost a pet, and especially a pet who feels like their child, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. PyokDB Liao, I really hope I pronounced that correctly. If I haven't, I'm sorry. Asks, would you consider writing/producing other works situated in the Aprilverse? Or should it be the Averse? No, it's Aprilverse. That's what we've called the panel at BroNYCon. In smaller proportions than this year's reading, of course. On the lighter note, favourite hot beverage? You can be as precise or as vague as you want on this. Well, funny you should ask that about smaller portions of Aprilverse. One, the Aprilverse special this year has gone on way beyond April, so technically it is smaller portions throughout the year. But also, Wooten had the idea of potentially doing that kind of thing on his channel as well, set in the kind of Aprilverse universe. And I like the idea of other people in the narratorverse, the narrator fandom, I don't know what you call it, our little corner of the fandom. I like the idea of people expanding on Aprilverse with their own take on it. Yeah, and if it was other narrators, people I trust, I would appear in it. A Scribbler pone in the background, just being grumpy and swearing a lot and threatening bodily violence. I genuinely don't know why I write myself like that in Aprilverse, because I'm not like that in real life, but Scribbler pone seems to have come out that way. On my favourite hot beverage, I have to say, Beanie's flavoured coffee. Because everybody knows that I love my coffee, I really, really do. But Beanie's does flavoured coffee, and I'm going to lean across and make some noise here, because I have my little variety pack that I keep in my workstation. And they have flavours: amaretto almond, double chocolate, Irish cream, nutty hazelnut, creamy caramel, very vanilla, chocolate orange, mint chocolate, cookie dough, cinnamon hazelnut, cocoa delight, and gingerbread. And each of these little coffee sticks, it's instant coffee because I'm a pleb, has only got 2 calories attached to it. So it tastes and it feels like I'm having sugar. And I love me sugars. I'm a proper sweet tooth sometimes. But, yeah, I'm also a fat ass, so I can't have a lot of sweet stuff. I can't have a lot of the foods that I really, really like, because I'm fat, and I don't want to get any fatter. I'd quite like to get a bit thinner instead. So this fools me into thinking that I've had something really nice, and it tastes divine when you put sweeteners into it. It's something that people who know me are aware of, but I have an unholy amount of sweeteners in my coffee. And I do mean, it's ridiculous. Even I acknowledge that it's stupid the number I have in there. If I only have a couple in there, I can't taste them. I don't know what it is. Maybe just all my senses are dulled after years of too much Pepsi Max or something. But I need to have, I have these little hologram sweeteners, and I have about 10, 12 of those in a cup of coffee, just to make it sweet enough that I like drinking it. So I have those in my flavoured coffee, and that is my favourite beverage. Wow, how did I manage to have a longer answer about coffee than I did about fanfics? Animality asks, if you could throw any character into a volcano, who would it be and why? MLP, Marvel, and DC. Okay, you've limited me to those fandoms. Any character into a volcano. See, that's quite violent, and as I've mentioned, Scribbler would have no problem with this, but actual me doesn't like violence very much. Bit of a pacifist in real life. Oh god, what character would I throw in? If we're talking like comic verse, then in DC there is a ridiculous villain in the Batman comics. I think she's called White Rabbit, but she was designed as like a Playboy bunny, and every single pose that she's in shows off her bum to the requisite camera. And she's always posed sexually, and her dialogue is written terribly, and she has no logic to her character. So if I could just get rid of her out of the comics, that'd be great. She can go in a volcano. In Marvel, I don't know. I don't know. Jude Law's character out of Captain Marvel. There we go. Mr. Misogynist, he can go. In MLP, oh my goodness, there's quite a lot to choose from here. Up until the end of the finale last season, I would have said Chancellor Naysay, racist bastard. But now, who am I going to say? Okay. Controversial. Agent Sweetie Drops. Because I don't like that characterization. I would quite happily get rid of that entirely. I liked it when it was just Bon, the confectioner who lived in Ponyville. I didn't need her to be a secret agent. I didn't need her to become Sweetie Drops, the secret agent who fights monsters. Yeah, that's fine in a fanfic, but not in canon. Can we just have a fucking normal pony, please? I wanted her to just be the quiet confectioner lesbian living out her life happily with Lyra, the street musician. Yeah, there we go. Drake Emberheart asks, 1. Are you into the Brony music scene, and if so, what current musicians do you like? And second question, I'm going to be at BroNYCon, can we hang out? Well, Brony music scene? Not so much anymore. I used to try and be in it. I tried to understand it a lot because I was with Reverb, and he is on the Brony music scene. So I wanted to understand what the hell he was talking about whenever he talked about it. But since we broke up, I've got to say I don't really listen to a lot of Brony music anymore. I have my old favourites, and I think that's actually a problem with the Brony music fandom. Specifically the fans of the Brony music fandom, not the musicians themselves. That a lot of people I found like listening to older stuff and aren't aware of some of the newer stuff coming out. So I have tried to listen to music stuff. It's just my life is so busy that half the time I can't listen to music unless it's something specifically to keep me going on the cross trainer at the gym. Right. And am I going to BroNYCon? Yes, I am a community guest at BroNYCon, and at the time that this podcast Q&A should be going up, I'm actually in transit to Baltimore, so I should be in the air somewhere when this goes live. Yeah, we've got the Patron dinner, so yeah, I'll see you there, bud. JRog1989, I see you sneaking in there. What inspired you to become a narrator for the fandom? Oh, okay. Various things. One, I used to read to my baby sisters when they were babies, when they were very, very young. One of them, my very baby sister, she's in her mid to late 20s now, but she's always going to be the baby sister in my head. She used to have this book that she got at the free book fair at school, and I forget what it was called now, but there was a story in it about a kid who made sandwiches for all of his friends at school, and the descriptions of all the different yucky sandwiches and the combinations he'd made used to make her giggle like a loon, so I would always read that one to her more than anything else. And I did silly voices, and I just remember that wonderful feeling of her drifting off to sleep and then waking up the next morning and going, "You didn't finish!" I was like, "I did. You fell asleep. Do you want me to retell it?" "Yes, yay!" So I've always read to people. I've always done it. And then when I got into Brony fandom, I discovered that audiobooks for fanfics were a thing. And I started listening to other people, and I thought, I'd like to have a go at that. That's something I can actually contribute. Now, usually I didn't do anything active with my voice and things like that. YouTube had not been a thing in my brain for a very long time. I didn't really use social media. I wasn't an online presence aside from the fanfics that I wrote. And even then I was limited to fanfiction.net. But pony fandom pulls you in. It immerses you and makes you feel like you want to contribute. You want to be a content creator. So I did. I had a go. And it turned out I really enjoyed it. And I didn't expect it to go anywhere. I just wanted to pick out stories and read them, and I had so much fun doing it. And then I started to meet people, and I became friends, and my social media started to become useful again to talk to people. And the rest is kind of history. So yeah, that's what went to buy to become a narrator. It looked like fun, and I had to go. Agent Fluffy. Scribbler, this is for my boyfriend, the Crimson Pitnai. What are your thoughts on the Fluffy Pit ship? It's not really my place to comment on other people's ships, especially if they're real-life ships, but if it makes you happy, all for it. Prince Everfree asks, what made you finally decide to do a Patreon meetup? How many questions can somebody ask? How was it living in Australia? Do you have any pets? Well, the reason I've decided to do a Patreon meetup at this year's BroNYCon is because it's the last BroNYCon, and because I did actually want to do one last year, but my timetable for being a community guest last year was so dense, there was just literally no time. There was a narrator lunch that went on, and we could stay for like barely an hour because narrator Pony and I had to run off and be in the Pinky Tails panel. So it was so jam-packed, my schedule last year. This year, because it's been 4 days, and because I don't have quite as many things to do, I've got a bit more time. So before BroNYCon was over entirely, I wanted to have at least one go at a patron meetup. How many questions can somebody ask? Many as you want, really, but I've only got 2 left. How was it living in Australia? Bloody hot. Really excruciatingly hot. It's a special kind of hot in Australia that, considering I complained at the beginning of this about the heat in Britain, it's got nothing on the heat in Australia. In Australia, I was in a place called Karratha for Christmas 2017. And literally, everybody has pools outside their house, which was a mind screw for me, because, Britain, all the houses are packed in like sardines here, there is no room for pools. There was a pool in Reverb's family's backyard, and it was too hot to get into because of the heat of the sun. And he told me in all seriousness, and I laughed, I thought he was joking, but then he just looked at me and went, no, I'm serious. If I'd cracked an egg on the driveway, it would have fried. That is a special kind of hellfire heat. So if anybody goes there in their summertime, which is everybody else's winter time, take a hat and lots of sunscreen. Do you have any pets? Sort of. I have a cat who is not really my cat. He was a neighbour's cat, and they had a baby, and he went, screw this, I'm going to move into that house where they haven't got a dog anymore, because every other house in our neighbourhood, including his own, has got a dog. And Pusscat just we were having building work done at the time, so there was a big hole in the wall, and he went, easy entrance. And we found him upstairs on the bed, and we put him out. And then the next day we found him upstairs on the bed, and we put him out, and they sealed up the hole. And then the next day, the builders had the door open, and the cat just wandered past, like he thought that, like he was meant to be here. And they let him go, because they thought he was meant to be here, because they'd seen him twice before, and we found him upstairs on the bed. By the 4th or 5th time, we just kind of went, we're not going to keep you out, are we? Because one of those times, we'd shut all of the doors, closed up the hole in the wall, but there was a tiny window open in the downstairs loo. And he got in through that and went and slept on the bed. So there came a certain point where we realised we weren't going to keep him out. And he was hungry, so we fed him bits of food and things. Well, when you feed an animal and he sleeps there, and if, unfortunately like me, you fall asleep next to him at least once, he thinks he lives here. And he kind of does now, because now he's registered at my vet. So he's registered as Pusscat at the vet. That's fun when they call your name. It's like, oh, look at that terrible owner. I haven't bothered giving him a proper name. He has a proper name. But if I use it... my parents kind of go a bit crackers about saying he's not really our cat. I know. So we'll just keep calling him Pusscat. I also have a family of badgers who live at the bottom of our garden, and a fox and a fox cub, about 6 or 7 squirrels, some woodpeckers, a few jaybirds. We did have a song thrush, but Pusscat unfortunately killed that and left it on the lawn yesterday. We have lots and lots of little hedge birds. I live near a bird sanctuary, and it's from my workstation. You can really hear it's quite echoey in here. I work in a conservatory, so this is one of the reasons it's so fucking hot. It's beautiful to look out on, and there are so many animals and things. I do actually feed them at night. The badgers and the foxes and things get all the scraps from the day. So if we have any food that goes off, or things that have been in the bottom of the freezer that have got freezer burn, we defrost them and give them to the badgers. We're making sure, obviously, that it's not poisonous to them. Nothing with garlic in, nothing with onions in. We also, because the foxes had mange, we got some herbal sarcoptic mange solution from a fox charity. Which I'll put the link of that in the description, actually, because if you email them and say you've got foxes and you think they have mange, they will send you this solution to put on bits of food that you put out for them. So apparently, foxes really love honey, not savoury things like I thought. So yeah, we've also been doing that, and we've been putting worming solution out there for them, because they've been eating the Pusscat's kills, and we don't want them to be full of worms and die in agony. So yeah, yes, sort of, is an answer to that question. Right, and that seems to be the end of all my questions. I hope to do this again, maybe not next month, because it's taken me 3 weeks to answer these, but at some point I hope to do another Patreon Q&A. So if you'd like me to answer your questions, join my Patreon. It can be just $1 a month, and you get early access to pretty much all of my videos, especially all the significant ones, like all the fic readings and all of my significant comic dubs, all of my podcasts and all of my creepypastas and other fanfics from other fandoms. All of that you get early. You also get a chance to vote on one story a month, one MLP story a month, that you can pick what I do. And you get access to my Discord server where you can come and chat to me and hear me bawl about kittens, puppies, and stupid British weather. With that, be lovely to each other, and see you at BroNYCon, everybody. Bye-bye!